Thank you for tuning in to Inward Beauty. Remember, beauty starts within. I am the saucEress of Inward Beauty, and I got some good sauce for you guys today. Now, the sauce I have is not a recipe for food. It is a recipe for life. I'm going to share my story with you because my story is your story. At least of very many of you, okay? I'm 40 years old. I've given birth to two children, a 15-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter. I've worked in the beauty industry for 25 years as a salon owner and master cosmetologist. So, because I really want you guys to get the most out of the story, I wrote everything down so my thoughts wouldn't be all over the place. So, I am going to read a little of what I wrote for you guys so you can get a clear picture of where I'm coming from and maybe where I'm going. Okay? So, I'm going to read some of it to you. Thanks for listening. For over 25 years, I worked in the beauty industry promoting outward beauty as well as society's standard of beauty. As the plethora of beautiful women sat in my chair paying me for my services, they cried literal tears, okay? And it was easy for me to think I was making a difference. I actually told these ladies that they've got to learn how to love themselves authentically. So I really taught that love yourself doctrine, right? And I taught that the entire time while I was relaxing their hair or adding extensions. Okay? And it was really easy for me to feel self-exalting when I took most of my clients natural. This was before the natural movement swept through Atlanta. So now you know where I am. And as I was doing all of that stuff and telling my clients, oh, love yourself, be you, be you, beautiful you. I realized underneath my salon's marquee, underneath my weave, my extensions, underneath my beautifully made face, I had that face laid, okay? Complete with concealer and foundation. I had the blush, my eyeshadow was popping, eyeliner, lashes, nail enhancements. I had it all. Underneath all of that, you guys, I wasn't pleased with myself. And the reason why I wrote this down was because I want you guys to see how thick this self-hatred was, okay? I've always hated my knock knees because I was told there was something wrong with them. I never liked that one hip on this right side that's higher than the left side. I hated that. I've always hated the hyperpigmentation under my eyes. Once upon a time, it was very pronounced. I had like triangles under here. Yeah. I always hated that. I also hated the hyperpigmentation that was underneath my neck that came as a result of the hair bumps I would get under my neck from the hair that was growing under my neck since I was 16. I was ashamed of it, hated that. And to top it all of that, love yourself, accept yourself, all of that stuff I was preaching. I hated myself for all those other things I named, but there's one more thing I did not name that I'm getting ready to name right now. That was at 235 pounds that I was grossly ashamed of. I hated that. I hated how my stomach hung over my legs and covered everything underneath my stomach. I hated that. I hated because it was wrinkly and I just hated it. So what I did was I wore Spanx, I wore body shapers, it work wraps, waist cinchers. Yeah, I did all of that. And yes, yes, those foundational garments, they did cinch my waist in. So I appreciated those foundational garments. But guess what? I was still 235 pounds with swollen ankles and swollen hands. Until one day I woke up with a swollen knee. I did. And my clients remember the swollen knee that I had because that swollen knee forced me to sit down as I was serving them. And I've never been the type of stylist that would sit down while I was working because to me it was very unprofessional. It was lazy, and I just I didn't want that associated with me. So I never sat. I don't care if I'd been in the salon 15 hours. I don't care if I arrived at the salon at 5 a.m. and then leave to 10 p.m. that night. I would never sit. So that was a problem for me. I didn't like having to sit with my leg propped up while I was servicing my clients. It was very difficult. Okay, so yeah, I sat on the stool, and I didn't like that. So I took this problem to our family practitioner. He X-rayed me and um, gave me some blood work, and they stuck needles all in me and all that kind of stuff, pulled out all my blood. So at that time, I was tested for degenerative diseases because the doctor said it looked like I might have arthritis or something very close. When the results came back negative, I was not relieved because I did not have insurance. So I had to pay this doctor out of my pocket, for him to tell me I had fat knees and bone spurs. So I accepted the fact that I had fat knees. Thank you, Dr. Hagu. I appreciate that. Then shortly after that, I began to have anxiety attacks that felt like heart attacks. Now, what drove me to the doctor for my first MRI was when I felt pain, tingling, and numbness in my left arm. And since I had never experienced a heart attack, I didn't know what it was. And from my research, it said, oh, if you got some kind of tingling in your arm, or so it frightened me a little bit. So I went and got an MRI, and the doctor told me that I had a very healthy heart. But if you continue allowing your blood pressure to increase at the rate it's going, you could ruin your heart, young lady. And you guys, I was 32 years old at the time. And I knew I did not want to take hypertension medication for the rest of my life. So I knew I needed to do something about that. Before I could even get to that, I had this mysterious pain shortly after the doctor told me I had a nice heart. I had this mysterious pain in my left breast, which scared me to death. Okay, it was really, really horrible. So this time I went for prayer at my church that I was heavily involved in before they kicked me out. So the church prayed over me, and that night after they prayed, I began having pain in my left breast. So my best friend took me to the doctor, and they ran their test on me, and they told me the pain I was experiencing was a good sign, and it meant that I did not have cancer because you cannot feel any pain um, in your breast if you have breast cancer. Okay, so I was so relieved. I was more relieved at that time than any other time in my life because I think I was really afraid of that C word, okay? I was really afraid of that. People said, oh, you're too young to have breast cancer. Don't you worry about that. That thing scared me, so that's why I went to the doctor, okay? So unfortunately and fortunately, it took all those events for me to get my mind right. So without medical insurance, I went to a holistic doctor this time, and I met her in one of my salons. She was visiting another stylist that worked there, and I noticed she was very, very thin. She had locks. I remember that she was having her locks maintained, and she was in her late 40s. She was in her early 40s. I was in my early 30s, and I knew she looked a lot better than I did, a lot healthier. She had clear skin. The whites of her eye, what I noticed the most were the whites of her eyes were extremely, extremely white, kind of like mine right now. And her teeth were really white. Her skin was really clear, and she was really, really thin. And I kind of wanted this lady to help me. So I went to go see this lady, and she gave me an eating chart. She gave me herbs, and she performed iridology on me. So you guys look that up so you can see what that is. And she told me my problem was what I ate. So thus my journey began um, in 2010. So I completed my first master cleanse from Stanley Burroughs. He's the guy that wrote that book. You guys research that. That's the lemonade with the cayenne pepper and maple syrup. So I did that. Following the cleanse, I began researching just being healthier, and I began to read the works of. I learned from these people I'm going to name you. So write their names down, and I'll put them in the link below. Okay, Dr. Jewel Pookrum, Ali Muhammad, Queen of Fua, Chef Aki, Minister Inky, Dr. Joy DeGrew, David Frawley, Marcus Rothkrantz, Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Ben or Ben Jockanen, Henrik Clark, Dr. Sheik Joop. Some might pronounce him Diop, but it's not. Joop. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Harriet A. Washington, Wayne Chandler, believe it or not, yes, Dr. Sabi, Atiba Omar. I'm going to place these authors' names below, and I want you guys to check out their works. Atiba Omar is an author, just like some of these other authors I named for you, but he is also my yoga instructor. And you guys will be meeting him very, very soon. I'll be interviewing him on the show. My herbalist is Doc Ross Shalom. His link is also below. I've taken his herbs. I really, really like them. They've definitely helped me and so many other people. And I look forward to sharing so many other sauces with you guys today. Thank you for listening to my story. And thank you for tuning in to Inward Beauty. And remember, beauty starts within.